So good evening, everyone. This is our major scholarship meeting that we have been advertising for about 2 weeks now. The purpose of this meeting is to ensure that our seniors have the information that they need to apply to some of the major scholarships that students tend to apply for every year. This is our my first time actually holding a scholarship meeting. We just figured it'd be a great idea since there are so many major scholarships floating around. So at this time, we'll transition into staff introductions. And we can just go in the order that they're listed on the document. So once it gets to your name, please unmute yourself and introduce yourself to the group. So do we have Miss Karen Brown on the call? If not, we'll proceed. So Ms. Karen Brown is our counselor for A through K. Mr. Mac Tubbs is the counselor for L through Z. And I know I saw the early college counselors log in. So at this time, could Ms. C and Ms. Burrows please unmute and introduce yourself?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Ms. C. I am your counselor for early college A through K.
Hello, I'm Ms. Burrows. I'm early college counselor for students L through Z.
Thank you, Ms. Burrows and Ms. C. And at this time, we'll transition to our Let's Gear Up staff. So Ms. Ford, would you like to take the lead?
Hello, this is Ms. Ford for Let's Gear Up team, and we'll be serving the senior cohort this year and also all other scholars.
Mr. Ford, would you?
Yeah, Cedric Ford, Let's Gear Up site coordinator.
Ms. Lindsay? Is Ms. Lindsay on here?
No, Ms. Lindsay is not on at this time, but she's our coordinator and she's over parents, all our financial and parent engagement.
Thank you, Ms. Ford. And then I am Aisha Jackson, the to and through coordinator for CCMR. CCMR stands for College Career Military Readiness. So I have all grade levels. So if you have other siblings or students, parents, and other grade levels, I can service you as well. Just a second, I'm still admitting people, so please excuse me. Okay, and do we have Ms. Terry on the call as well?
Yes, I'm here. Hello, everyone. I am Ms. Terry. I'm the Advised Texas College Advisor. I service 9th through 12th. 12th, we primarily try to service at the beginning of the year to help you guys with scholarships, financial aid, college applications. I would be working in the Go Center primarily if we were on campus, and our emails are on this page, so please utilize them and contact everyone accordingly for what you need.
Thank you, Ms. Terry. And at this time, we'll proceed to the actual scholarship information. So Ms. Ford will be going first. Let me get to your slides. Okay, Ms. Ford, you start with Ron Brown, correct?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, and I do want to apologize for going out of order. I'm trying to do this meet the teacher night with my own kid at the same time. So I'm trying to multitask, but oops, let me put my camera on. But anyway, I do want to welcome you tonight to our first scholarship meeting. And we just, like Aisha and Ms. Jackson and Ms. Terry said and ourselves, we just want to make sure that you are aware of the full ride scholarships, and also with the Ron Brown Scholarship first. And the Ron Brown Scholarship, as you can see, it's a scholarship that was named after Ron Brown, and he worked for the U.S. Department of Commerce, was one of the first African Americans to actually serve on the cabinet at the time. And he died, unfortunately, in a car crash. Sorry, not a car crash, but a plane crash. And this one is more personal to me because due to the fact at the time being at Howard University and attending that body line in state, so it's just a little bit more personal for me me for this scholarship. And I'm happy that, you know, we have students. We also have a student that graduated 4 years ago that's from Morehouse University that received this scholarship, an outstanding scholarship. And once again, they do look at, you know, being African American, excel academically in your, you know, your studies, your AP classes, dual credit classes, challenging yourself. There is a financial need that is actually attached with this in addition to, and that leadership component. We always want to focus on the leadership and that community involvement piece and making sure that our students have a well-rounded application with that. And so when you are actually applying for this scholarship, look at the things that you are involved in your community and also in your leadership role. What we do want to express is it's not a lot of things. It's not like multiple things. I have to go out and join several different activities, but it's the things that you have actually participated in over the longevity piece. This scholarship right here, again, we will be helping you with that, and we're planning on bringing in our past graduate to help students with this scholarship and speaking from his experiences and how it benefited him throughout his years at Morehouse College. Next slide. Or any questions? You can go to the next slide.
Is it showing the Brian Cameron education?
Yes. So the next slide is the Brian Cameron education. This scholarship right here, it is a merit-based scholarship and it is for 4 years. It does have a GPA requirement of a 3.7 on a 4-point scale. Also demonstrating, you know, your commitment, extracurricular activity, looking at that, far as also your employment, meaningful contributions, things of that outside component. Yes, the GPA stipulation is there, but they also want to look at motivated leaders. And this scholarship, once again, is coming from the standpoint of, you know, raising and bringing new leaders into society and making sure that they have the skills that they need to really be our future global leaders that we want them to be. So this scholarship, again, it is online, and the plus about this scholarship, it is merit-based. That means that it's not necessarily an income that's attached to it, but also with that merit-based, like I said, it comes with, you know, that academic piece, but also with the extracurricular activities in addition to the community service piece too. So if your child is definitely interested in that with the GPA requirement, once again, it does have letter of recommendations that are attached to it, and also a essay that will be with it too. I would advise you, and this is what all the scholarships parents, and this is what I want to let you know, especially go on the website and look at the ones that they have already received and the alumni, the students that received the scholarship, because that I even have my own daughter, you know, look at their profile, look at the things that they're looking for, because it gives you a better insight of how to actually put your package together. Not that you have to copy or make it, but it gives you a baseline of actually what to look for and the components that are very vital in that application that you need to stress and put effort into. Question, next slide. And this is actually, this is the same name, but the name has changed a little bit on this one. This scholarship, this is actually a 401B, and one of my friends is actually over this scholarship, one of the components, and got promoted as a VP for this particular scholarship. This is a one-time scholarship, meaning that they give out several awards for this scholarship of $4,000. So when we say that it's a one-time benefit, meaning that that's that one-time piece that you actually get for that freshman year, and it's not reoccurring for the next couple years. However, it's still a strong scholarship. Once again, it is based on community need and also work-related activities. That's what they want to look at, that ambition and that student drive. It doesn't necessarily have a GPA requirement or SAT requirement, and that's what's the beauty of this scholarship. So it opens it up for more candidates to apply, but please apply early. Last year, we were still getting kids to apply for this scholarship and meet the deadline. If you see, the deadline is on the 15th, which is really critical, but we really asked students to have all their scholarship information in before the deadline. And that's literally, like, I would say a safe is like 3 weeks ahead of time, to making sure that, you know, you have an opportunity to really think about the scholarship and put a well pieced together to present for the scholarship committee. Any questions? And if Aisha, if you go back, because I didn't go back to the previous slide for the deadlines. The Ron Brown deadline is January 9th, but once again, we want to back that up 3 weeks ahead of time, parents, and making sure that you have enough time, especially for those letter recommendations and the essay writing. One of the tools that you can use for the essay writing and just getting a scope of things is John Hopkins Essays That Work. That's a resource that you can use to actually help your students to understand the quality of education. The thing that I love about that website is that, as far as what they thought about this, the essay and other improvements that they could have, received on the essay. So that website that you can attend and look at, I should say, and it's called John Hopkins Essays That Work. And the next slide, that one is due rather soon. The Cameron.
Yes, that one is due, like 2 weeks.
Yes, that one is due on the 11th. So that's like 2 weeks. So this is once again, the letter of recommendation. So if you're really interested in that, please make sure that you have the letter of recommendations sent to those people that you want to write your letter recommendations. We usually ask for like a two week turnaround so we can have a quality letter of recommendation. So if this is something, and once again, this is a full ride scholarship. This one is. So it's all inclusive. So if that's an area that you really are seeking, and once again, to this website and look at the scholars that was awarded the scholarship last year as a baseline to help you understand what the package looks like. Any questions on those 3 scholarships? I don't know if we're taking questions.
And this one was December. So we can pause for questions. Do anyone have any questions in the chat?
Okay.
Well, thank you, Ms. Ford. We'll
Any
proceed.
questions in the chat?
I don't think it's any questions.
Thank you. And like I said, we'll post a scholarship PowerPoint. We'll send that out. So you also have that too to refer to for the scholarships.
Could everyone
Thank you.
themselves, because there's an echo and feedback? So we'll go back to the beginning. First scholarship in the presentation was the Jack Kent Cook Scholarship. From my understanding, this is a full ride scholarship. The student must be a senior, of course, so these are all senior related scholarships. Their GPA must be a 3.5 and above, and you must demonstrate financial need. The family income can be they will consider applicants' family income up to $95,000. But last year's cohort had a median family income of $35,000. So that kind of gives you a gauge of what they're looking for. And some of the scholarships on here will be merit-based, where they look at your GPA and things you've done in the community, and just looking at other things other than income. And then some scholarships will be have an income component. So it just depends on the student specifically. So that's why we wanted to give you an array of options for you to choose from. There will be a test blind process for your test scores, which means they will not require you to submit test scores. But if you have them and they're pretty good, I will go ahead and submit them anyways. But it is a test blind process given the climate of everything that's going on. And that deadline is October 30th. So as Ms. Ford stated, I would make sure I have everything together 3 weeks prior, because submitting things on the day of the deadline is just not a good look. And you want to make sure that your application is up to par before actually submitting it. You don't want to submit something that was a rush job. So my advice would be get you a planner, put it in your phone, and just document all of the deadlines for these scholarships so that you know when they're coming up. And again, the website is here, and this PowerPoint will be shared with everyone after the meeting. So you're welcome to click on the links and view the other eligibility requirements and more of the details. Okay, and next, the Coca-Cola Scholars. That deadline is October 31st. Students, again, must be a senior. And applicant, they have some restrictions on who the students cannot be. I would explore those. And one that stands out is high school graduates. So you all should be fine because you're still enrolled in high school. But there's more information on the website, and that one is due October 31st. From my understanding, Coca-Cola Scholars is a full ride. So you definitely want to check into that and get started as soon as possible. So my advice would be to work on these scholarships simultaneously, create you a spreadsheet or however you see fit to be organized, and just make a list of the scholarships and their requirements, and just create you a column that, you know, shows your progress. If you still need an essay, if you're still missing a letter of recommendation, so that you're not missing deadlines and you're applying to as many scholarships. Foundation scholarship. The Terry Foundation is partnered with, I believe, 10 to 15 schools across Texas. And it is a full ride scholarship as well. Just to name a few: UT Austin, A&M, College Station. I believe some of the UT and A&M branch schools are on there as well. So you would want to visit that website to see exactly what schools partner with the Terry Foundation. But it is a full ride. The deadline is December 1st. So you will have to have your application into that college that you're applying to, as well as the scholarship application. And on some of the applications, they actually have the scholarship available for you to fill out with your college application. So just be aware of that. But every school will be different. But definitely apply for the Terry Foundation scholarship. And at this time, we will transition to Ms. Terry.
Okay, everyone. So the Dell Scholars, excuse me, let me put my screen full. The Dell Scholars Program is a college readiness program for students in grades 11 and 12. The Dell Scholars Program is really unique, and each university will display it on the financial aid award letter differently when the student is accepted and does receive admission / accepts the scholarship. So you must be on track to graduate from an accredited high school. You must demonstrate financial needs. So this one is not merit based, it's financial based. So typically you will want to say anyone who would qualify for a Pell Grant from financial aid from FAFSA would qualify for this program. And I think they even go into it on their website to say households that make under $65,000 a year are going to be students who qualify for Dell Scholars. So it is financial based, like a need based scholarship. So you want to pay attention to that. Then this is for students who plan to enroll into a higher education institution and pursue a bachelor's degree. So there's going to be students who want to pursue a 4-year degree, and you must have a minimum of a 2.4 GPA. And so I put in the chat that you want to be sure you're looking at the high school GPA on the transcript. So for DeSoto's transcripts, we all know if we've seen one, there are multiple GPAs listed at the bottom of the transcript. Some of them are higher than others. And it can be confusing where you're looking at your GPA thinking you have a higher GPA than you actually do. So make sure you're looking at the one that says like HS GPA. And that is the one that all your scholarship programs, all your scholarship organizations, and your colleges are going to be looking at when it comes to acceptance or admittance into a university or into a scholarship program. With the Dell Scholars Program specifically, it is a $20,000 scholarship. It's personalized, and it supports a multitude of academic endeavors. So if you want to do business or science, there's no restriction on what major you can have with this scholarship. You will also get Chegg credit. So Chegg is a book rental or a store that you can purchase and rent books from. They'll give you $500 a year for textbook purchases or rentals. You will also get a laptop with the Dell Scholars Program. So they will give you a laptop. More than likely, it will be a Dell laptop. And they also have it's renewable every year, and they will also give you access to an alumni association. So all the Dell scholars that have come and went and graduated, you will have access to like talk to them. They have a mentor program. If you're accepted, you'll learn more about that. And then you can become a mentor in this program after you complete it as your 4 years. And this deadline is December 1st. So QuestBridge, our QuestBridge scholarships, it's a really special scholarship, and it is a match-based scholarship. So you will apply to QuestBridge, and they will match you to the university of your university that selects you, and it's a full ride. So pretty much this scholarship is geared towards those who are students who are higher achieving, and the average GPA profile for students who are accepted into QuestBridge are going to be students primarily with like 3.940. The average student that is accepted does have a 3.9, and they have anywhere between a 1310 and a 1450 SAT score. Also a 28 to a 33 ACT score. So students who are looking to go to universities like Yale, Harvard, Princeton, Stanford, Brown. The QuestBridge is a really good place to start when applying to those schools, because QuestBridge is a full ride scholarship. We do have a student from the class of 2020 who did receive a QuestBridge match scholarship, and she is attending Yale University, and it's a full ride. I think the whole scholarship is worth about $300,000. So it's really, really, a really, really good encompassing scholarship for those students who are looking to go to Ivy League top tier schools. The deadline is September 29th. It's a very hard deadline because there are multiple rounds and processes and interviews that go into this QuestBridge scholarship. But it's a really good option for students who are lower income. So it is a financial need scholarship, and who are looking to go to top tier universities. So the Gates Scholarship is also another really good scholarship to be actively seeking and applying to. It is for high school seniors who will be graduating, and they want you to be from the following ethnicities: African American, American Indian, Asian, Pacific Islander, or Hispanic American. So if that applies to you, then this will be a scholarship that you can specifically apply for. They want students to be Pell eligible. So again, like the Dell Scholars one, they're going to be looking for you to have a Pell Grant on the FAFSA. It doesn't specify how much Pell Grant they want, but again, this is a financial need-based scholarship. They want you to be a U.S. citizen or permanent resident, and to have good academic standing at your high school, and they want you to have at least a 3.3 on a 4.0 scale. So again, please pay attention to those GPAs and which one is the weighted one. Also, if you have any questions or if something doesn't apply to you, because some high schools don't rank, or they will have people who you can contact and figure out like, hey, can you look at my transcript and tell me which one of these GPAs are you guys going to take? More than likely, it will be the ones that I said, the high school GPA. But if there's a different circumstance, you can always reach out and email them or call them and figure out what works for you specifically. All students must attend a 4-year university, 4-year degree plan. It can be private or public university. So they're going to be looking for students who are wanting to get a bachelor's degree for this scholarship. And the deadline is September 15th. So again, it's in about 2 weeks. This is something you want to be actively working on. Students who are looking at this now and you've noticed the dates that are rolling around fast in the last few slides, go ahead and send out those recommendation letter requests ASAP, because we need time to be able to connect with you and draft it and write it and make sure it's good for you. You don't want to ask 2 days ahead of time to your counselor or to myself or Ms. Jackson, and we can't write you a good or appropriate letter of recommendation. So go ahead, even tonight or in the morning, send those requests out for letters of recommendation. Does anyone have any questions about the last 3 scholarships that were presented? I see some in the chat.
Pull up the chat to see if there's any questions. None of the GPAs.
Okay, none of the GPAs.
So it says, so to answer your question, Kayla, the when Ms. Terry said the high school GPA, it's actually the college GPA. That is the one that's on a 4.0 scale. That is your core classes, from my understanding, that is on a 4-point scale. And thank you, Ms. Burrows, for clarifying that it is the college GPA that's on a 4.0 scale. So if we don't have any other questions at this time, we will make sure any other. There's a question about the TCU program. So we're currently waiting on TCU to deliver that information to us. And they're trying to figure out how they're going to actually do that scholarship this year, given the circumstances. So once that information becomes available to us, we will relay it to you all. So just be on the lookout for the TCU information. So the TCU scholarship is not in this PowerPoint, but it is indeed a full ride, meaning everything is covered. So if that is what you're interested in, please be on the lookout for that information. The other question.
Ooh.
Okay, I don't see any other questions, so we will continue. So Ms. Ford has already went over the Ron Brown Scholarship, the Brian Cameron, the AXA Achievement Scholarship. So at this time, we'll have Mr. Ford to give us a spiel on the Hispanic Heritage Foundation Scholarship.
Good evening, everyone. As stated, this scholarship is for people of Hispanic heritage, whether you're from Spain, Mexico, Brazil, or the Philippines. You qualify for this scholarship. This is a merit-based scholarship. They're looking at a 3.0 unweighted GPA. The deadline to apply is October 15th, and they're looking for students who have an interest in business, entrepreneurship, community service, education, healthcare, media and entertainment, technology, and engineering. And you are required to go to the banquet that they have, the awards banquet, the regional banquet. And last year, I know they had a local banquet in January of 2020. So as you apply for that, for this scholarship, make sure you know the dates and the deadlines, and know that you have to pay your own way to get to the ceremony. You must be a U.S. citizen, and the deadline to apply is October 15th. Next slide. We have the Horatio Algier Scholarship. That this scholarship is open to any high school senior that comes from a family with the income of adjusted income of $55,000 or lower. This scholarship is up to $10,000. You must have a 2.0 GPA, and the window is open for this one. It opened August 1st and it closes October the 25th. So if you're interested in this scholarship, this would be the time to start applying for it and making sure you get all the documents and things that you need to qualify for this scholarship. The next scholarship is the Jackie Robinson Scholarship. This scholarship is worth up to $30,000 for 4 years. So that comes out roughly to about $7,000 a year. They're looking for students with strong leadership potential, students who are involved in community service. There is a financial need attached to this scholarship. They didn't say exactly what their financial need is, but there is a need. It's a need-based scholarship. You must be a U.S. citizen, and you must have a letter of recommendation, and you must submit your SAT or ACT score. And for more information, go to the links that are being provided. And it's Ms. Terry and Ms. Ford and Ms. Jackson said earlier, this is the time to start applying for these scholarships, getting your letter of recommendations together, getting your GPA, your transcripts, all this information so that you're not trying to beat the clock at the last minute. There's no questions. Anyone have any questions? That's all I have for these particular scholarships.
Okay, I will check the chat, Mr. Ford. Thank you. Okay, it seems that Ms. Terry has put the information in the chat for those that are inquiring about an appointment with us in regards to the scholarship information. And as Mr. Ford stated, the deadline is pending. So a lot of these scholarships happen yearly, but some of the dates have not been released, but you can at least inquire about what is expected for each scholarship. And you've probably heard a lot that it's financial need. And most of the time, scholarships and your colleges will look at your FAFSA application to see if that financial need is met. So in October, when financial aid opens, it's best to get that done as soon as possible. I know a lot of you have been inquiring about, can you start your application now? Currently, you just can create your FSA ID. And Ms. Terry, could you drop that link in the chat, please? So that the students and their parents can go ahead and make sure they have those FSA IDs. So the way that it works, the student has to have an FSA ID and one of the parents has to have an FSA ID. Now, parents, if you have an older child that is already in college, you would have one because they had to go through the same process. Or if you have recently graduated or enrolled in college yourself, you will have one. But that is the only way but that is the recommended way to submit your FAFSA application. It used to be called a PIN, but now the new name is the FSA ID. So to answer your question, FAFSA is not open yet, but you can create your FSA ID ahead of time so that when FAFSA does open in October, you won't be scrambling trying to figure out how to create the FSA ID. Now, that before I proceed, okay, perfect. So at this time, we'll discuss scholarships for our undocumented students, and I will turn it over to Ms. Lindsay. Ms. Lindsay, did you want to introduce yourself to the group? Could everyone mute their phones? Everyone see my screen?
Yes, we can. Now we can.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Burrows. I had to close out and let's see if it works. Okay, Ms. Lindsay, are you on the call? Okay, well, I'll go ahead and proceed. Could everyone just make sure that they're muted to drown out any feedback or background noise? This is the Golden Doors Scholars. The student must be a high school senior and a DACA student and or a Texas resident. The information for the scholarship, they will be awarded in the fall, so the deadline is quickly approaching. The plan is to concentrate on the scholarship is for students who plan to pursue a degree in career-ready degrees and exhibit strong academic records. I apologize. And the transcripts do not have to be official transcripts. And counselors on the call, correct me if I'm wrong, but the updated transcripts won't be available until later in September.
I think our projected date is mid-September.
Okay. So the students that are trying to meet the deadlines, you can submit what you have, and then I'm pretty sure you can submit an updated version later. And I'm pretty sure these scholarships will have some grace on students given the circumstances and considering we were interrupted after spring break and we never went back to normal school. So I'm pretty sure they'll have some grace on you. So just reach out to the scholarship specifically and let them know the situation. The Dream.US scholarship is another scholarship for our DACA students. The student must have come to the US before the age of 16, have not been convicted of a felony, has a 2.5 GPA or better, and plan to enroll in the partnering schools. So if you click on that website, you will see the list of those partnering schools. And that deadline is February 27th of next year. So that one is further away. And I apologize, I didn't go over the deadline for the other one, but it's September 16th for the Golden Door Scholars. And here is another scholarship. The deadline is actually pending, but they did award a scholar from last school year, well, class of 2020. So the student must be a DACA student, they're eligible, or must be undocumented. And I don't want to butcher the title, so I will just allow you to read the title. But it stands for the Chicano Organizing and Research Education is the foundation that supports this scholarship. And then here we have additional resources. So at this time, I'll actually click on the first one because that is our district CCMR website. And the plan is to have monthly scholarships available. There are some that are already up, and it goes from elementary scholarships all the way through high school scholarships. So, and it breaks it down by grade level. So I'll show you those. And you all let me know if you can see my screen.
Can't see it. I think you have to close out and share it again.
That may be what I have to do because it lags behind. Just a second. Ms. Burrows, are you able to see it now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, perfect. So if you notice over here to the left, it has scholarships. So if you click on that link, it will take you to another link that has scholarships by grade level. So currently, these are the scholarships that we have available for the month of August. So before those close or are taken off the website, please go check those out. And as you see here, the first one that comes up is single scholarship listing. And it goes all the way through, let me find the, so it's in order. So there's the junior listing and it goes all the way down to elementary scholarships. So again, students and parents, if you have other children in other grade levels, this is a great resource to start applying. It's never too early to apply. And some of the scholarships we've discussed here today, they're listed, and then it's just endless scholarships that you can apply to. And I believe Ms. Terry may have stated it, but it's no reason why you should have to pay for college because there's so much free money out there. And a lot of times students just don't apply and the money just is sitting out there. So please be sure to apply to the scholarships that we have presented tonight, as well as the scholarships we'll be posting monthly. And then there's 3 other sites. These aren't the only ones, but those are just 3 that were top of mind that you can actually go to for more scholarship information. But I would highly advise creating a spreadsheet for your scholarships just for you to keep track. My high school counselor actually taught me that trick in high school, and I ended up applying for over 60 scholarships because I had a system to keep track of everything that I needed to do. And because I ended up leaving college with only $13,000 in debt. And the cost of attendance for over 4 years at UT is a little bit over $100,000. So let's just say I received about $90,000 in free money. So the money is out there, and I hope after this meeting tonight, everyone will take heed to the information you have seen and apply for those scholarships because they're definitely out there. And so at this time, I will pause for questions. I won't tell everyone to unmute themselves at once, but if you could drop your question in the chat or raise your hand so we can get your question answered. We would love to answer your questions.
Ms. Jackson, also, I just want to emphasize while we got everybody here, your essays are going to be extremely important this year because a lot of institutions, majority of institutions are going to exempt SAT and ACT scores. So that they only have your GPA and your classes to judge you based off of. So you need to be able to write really strong and really detailed essays based on those applied Texas prompts or any other scholarship prompts that you have, because that's the only thing they have to look at. You have to tell your story. All they have is a number next to your name, 3.2 or 2.5 and your name. So you need to be able to fill those gaps in with the essays that you write for these scholarship applications and for your college applications. That's extremely, extremely important this year.
Thank you, Ms. Terry. I do want to add that when you're applying also for your colleges on Apply Texas or Common App or whatever other site is out there like Coalition or using the school's actual website, if the essay says optional, go ahead and write it, because a lot of times colleges and scholarships just like to see how bad you actually want the scholarship. And thankfully, my counselor in high school told me to write all three Apply Texas essays, and I received a $20,000 scholarship from UT just because I took the time out to write an optional essay to tell about my experience throughout my school years, and it paid off literally. So definitely write those optional essays. And as a matter of fact, if any question says optional, I would recommend answering it to the best of my ability, unless it just totally does not apply to what totally apply to your application. So those short answers and those essays that say they're optional, go ahead and do them. That's just trying to see if you really want the scholarship or not. And I would continue to apply for scholarships while you're in college. So a lot of you have been receiving acceptance letters, I'm sure by now, if you've been applying, and you may receive 2 notifications, one that you have actually been accepted to the university, and that the second one says you have been accepted to your major. So a lot of times the colleges within the university, like the College of Natural Sciences or whatever, the College of Engineering, they actually have money set aside for students with specific majors once you're in college. And a lot of times students get to college and just totally forget about applying to scholarships, but they're still out there. And I know I keep giving a lot of personal stories, but I just want you to know that we're not just giving you information saying, go do all of this and you're not receiving any money. It literally paid off. I was able to graduate from college and furnish my first apartment with scholarship money that I received my senior year. So the money is still out there once you enroll in college. I think I received an additional $12,000 while I was in college. So the money is there. Apply, and make sure you have strong essays. Because honestly, I recycled a lot of my essays. I just tweaked them to say what they needed to say for that specific scholarship, instead of reinventing the wheel and writing 30 essays. Most of the time, the topic just wants to know who you are and why you want to attend their school or why they should give you money. And what better person to talk about yourself than you? So definitely make sure those essays are strong. I will check the chat again. Someone asked about the Johns Hopkins website. Is Ms. Ford still on the call? Because I think she had that website. But are there any other essay checker websites, resources? You can actually, I believe Grammarly is free. Ms. Terry, correct me if I'm wrong. But I would recommend like making sure, putting your essay in things like Grammarly, or having your parents look over them, or reaching out to your English teachers and asking them to look over those essays. I hope that answered your question. There's another question in the chat that says, I have a question about the early acceptances. What should students be doing specific to schools they have already been accepted to? So your schools that you have already been accepted to, you want to continuously check the portal that they give you access to after you've been accepted, because that's how they communicate with students. So a lot of times students will get accepted and they'll say, oh, miss, I haven't heard anything from my college. And then they come in the college center and we check their portal, and sure enough, everything that they have been wondering about is in that portal. And it's extremely important to check that portal once your financial aid has been received by the institution, because that's where your award letter will be. And it outlines all of your dollars that the school has awarded you, as well as the grants and work study and everything else you may have received. So in short, to answer your question, I would highly recommend logging into that portal, and I wouldn't wait until the last minute to log in, because that's where a lot of your communication comes from. I hope that answers your question, Ms. Fobbs. Does anyone have any other questions? Oh, and I forgot to mention, some of these scholarships are specific to certain colleges or universities. So when you're checking the requirements, make sure you're looking at that list as well, because I know like Dell Scholars is specific to UT, Terry Scholars has partner institutions, and some scholarships are just like, here's money, you apply to any college you're attending. So just be aware of those specific details. And make sure you have all of the components needed before you submit the application. And letters of recommendation, you want to make sure they're strong letters of recommendation. I personally don't write them, because a lot of the students I work with, I've only known them for a short time. So I tend to recommend them to reach out to a pastor or a community member, someone that has known them for an extended period of time, to ensure that that letter actually speaks volume to who they are. Because you definitely want a strong letter of recommendation, especially if you're considering some of these full ride scholarships. There's another question about transcripts. Ms. Burrows, correct me if I'm wrong, but you said those updated transcripts will be available mid-September.
Yeah, mid to late September, and then we'll send out communication to Remind. So Early College will send it out to Remind, and Dr. McBride will send it out through the Senior Remind. And I'm not sure how else they're communicating, but definitely Remind. But our goal is mid to late September. Make sure everything is on there and correct.
Thank you, Ms. Burrows and Ms. Dewberry. I just saw your response in the chat.
Ms. Jackson, could you ask the students to, or I guess I could just ask them, to put in the chat how they heard about this meeting, to see what mode of communication got them into this meeting? So they can just drop into the chat how they heard about this meeting, just so that we'll know how, what ways we're communicating that are working.
Thank you, Ms. Dewberry. I didn't even think about that, because I know it's a lot of information circling right now. And so it does get confusing, because you're like, who is who and what is what? So we do understand. So we are trying to streamline as much communication as possible so that it isn't confusing.
I don't see them typing. There they go. There they go. Okay. Good.
Perfect. So it looks like Instagram, Facebook, social media, basically. NHS, Remind, that's great. Well, it looks like the communication channels are working that we're utilizing. There was a question in the chat that says, what if the student's pastor is the parent? In that case, I would maybe reach out to someone else in leadership from the church that could speak to the student's abilities, or someone in the community you may know, or someone you have volunteered with. but I would stay away from a parent writing a letter of recommendation. That's really not a good look. So yes, to answer your question, I hope I did answer it.
Yes.
Any other questions that you all may have? Thank you, Ms. Dewberry. I saw that you just put in the chat that students can access their schedules by viewing the parent/student portal. And someone correct me if I'm wrong on the call, that if you can't access the portal or you're having trouble, you can reset, or you can reach out to the technology help email that is available for them to reset.
Yes.
And Ms.
Yes.
Dewberry
And if
has
it's
put
student
it,
portal for the students can email their counselor for student portal access.
but the parent access has to come from technology, correct, Ms. Burrows?
Correct.
And Ms. Dewberry has put in the chat, if your student is requesting a schedule change, the form is actually in the chat. So before we log off, I would actually copy and paste that onto my computer or save it in my notes and save it as a favorite. So if you know you need to change your schedule or you will need to change it in the future, you will have that link to do so.
Someone asked, how do we access the scholarship listing page again?
Let me put the link in the chat. Just a second. So it's on our district CCMR website, and I'm putting that in the chat now. And there's other resources on that CCMR page as well, like an FAQ sheet for the college applying process if you have questions, SAT, ACT information. We have yet to locate the ACT waivers. We're not sure where they are due to COVID, but we should know pretty soon, I hope. And then we will get that information out to students and parents regarding the waivers. But if you need an SAT waiver, we do have those available. And thank you, Ms. Terry. I saw your comment in the chat. Don't get discouraged if you don't get the first 2 or 3 scholarships you've applied for. If you remember, I said I applied for 60 plus scholarships and I think I received 5 or 6. So it was worth it in the end because they were substantial scholarships. So don't get discouraged. You won't get them all, but you'll never know unless you apply. So please don't get discouraged. And before I close, I do want to remind you all about the Dallas County Promise. It sometimes is viewed as a scholarship, but it's really a program. The pledge actually opens September 1st, so please mark your calendars. Ms. Terry, could you drop that link in the chat for me, please? It opens September 1st, and in order to take advantage of the Dallas County Promise program, that is one of the steps you have to complete along with the financial aid application that opens in October, and then you have to apply to one of the partner schools you plan to attend. So if we have our Gen Ed students on the call, you could go to one of the Dallas College campuses first and then transfer to one of the partner institutions, or you can go straight to those partner institutions. Our early college students, you will graduate with your associate's degree, so there's no need for you to go to a community college, and you can go straight to the partner universities. There's a question in the chat regarding the schools that are included in the Promise program. Ms. Terry just dropped that link and it has a whole list of those options. And I will also put in the chat an overview for all students breaking down exactly what the Promise entails. And I will put the senior CCMR checklist in here as well.
Also note that there are multiple steps to the Dallas County Promise initiative. So the pledge is just the first step. Sometimes students get confused and think, hey, I already did that, but the next step will be to actually complete the DCCD, well, Dallas College application. And then the step after that will be to complete the FAFSA. So there are multiple steps to the process. So if you see us emailing you and texting you over and over to get it done, just know it's because you haven't completed one of those steps in that process.
And parents, we just really wanted you to, the Dallas Promise, and we just want you to use this as an option because it is on, unfamiliar territory at this time as far as what colleges and just applying and everything. And this is a free application, free tuition paid. And so we really want to focus on making sure that you have an insurance plan, basically. And that's why we're asking you to, when the pledge comes open on September 1st, to, get the pledge and the FAFSA. And one thing, and we'll have a follow-up meeting with the FAFSA, and we do want you to start getting your tax transcripts now. Please go online on the IRS and get that now, because you have to realize that your taxes are your FAFSA is going to be based off your 19 income. And so if your income has shifted or changed or anything, you definitely want to be able to have that tax transcript in advance to show those colleges and everything when you need to pretty much, advocate and defend, why you may need more money. So we just want you to go on there immediately and get that. You can go online tonight or tomorrow and pull that off. Also, remember the information that you do put in there, we will send you the number because you may have to call in if it doesn't exactly match. You can call in and physically, give them the address and order it, or go online to order it, or by phone to order it. But we just want to make sure that you are prepared for that, because I don't want any kid to be left out of an opportunity, especially with the Dallas Promise, and it's free money that we're just leaving on the table. And we'll be more than glad to help you with that process too.
And if you've noticed in the chat before we close, I want to make sure that you have accessed the documents that are in the chat. I've also added a high school resume template. We didn't touch base on that, but some scholarships and colleges will want you to submit your academic resume of everything you have done while you've been in high school. So make sure you have an up-to-date resume. And everyone on the call can speak to this. We're constantly updating our own resumes. It's not something that goes away. So you want to make sure you keep that up-to-date as possible, because some scholarships and colleges will ask for that information. And I see a question about fee waivers. The fee waivers, they're actually on your College Board account. So if you log in and click on your name and my and scroll down to the bottom, it should say in blue, print my application, well, my college application fee waivers. If they're not there in your early college, they have created a wonderful form that you fill out, and your counselor will email that to you. And if you're not in early college, please email your counselor and they can get you a fee waiver. Or you can email one of us, myself, or Mr. Ford, or Miss Lindsay. I think I saw Miss Lindsay come in on the call. But our emails are on the PowerPoint that I will send out after this call. We'll send that out through School Messenger, Remind, or whatever other platforms we may have. And I see another question. Do you have any tips regarding community service hours and how to earn them due to COVID? So this is really going to be a case-by-case basis. If there is a place willing to allow you to do community service, I would say take advantage of that. But I'm pretty sure it will be limited given the circumstances of making sure we social distance and capacity limits. So it really just depends on where you're looking for community service. So you'll just have to find some that will allow you to still participate given the circumstances. I would say I would start out with my church specifically, because I know during this time, a lot of churches have been giving food and different resources out to families. So I would definitely start there. And if you're not religious or you don't go to church, I would just look at some community organizations that have been giving out resources during this time to see if you're able to volunteer with them. And always keep track of your volunteer hours. And it looks like Miss Terry has put the Go Center Instagram in the chat. Continue to follow that for more updates. Miss Ford has put the Let's Gear Up website in the chat. There's resources there as well. And Miss Burrows has put the fee waiver application form in the chat as well.
And parents for the community service, also look at you may have gotten a link if you're a senior, but the other administrators are sending the link out, and you can put it on the website. On this chat too, fires for the Black Men in White Coats lunching, this virtual lunching this Saturday at 1 o'clock, and you can just register and it's free. And these are all the African-American males that are doctors or in the medical profession, and they'll be having a mentor one-on-one workshop on Saturday at 1 o'clock. And I'll put that link in there for you for your child or other people. Please spread the word, because sometimes if it doesn't apply to your kid, just pass it on to somebody else, and then we can all grow together and learn and be great.
And Ms. Ford, can you put that John Hopkins essay link in there as well before we conclude?
Yes, I would.
Do we have any other questions? And if you don't have any other questions, this is the conclusion of the meeting. I will stick around on the call for about 5 minutes to answer any questions you may not have felt comfortable asking in a large group, but I will stick around for more questions. Thank you, Ms. Burrows. And Ms. Dewberry. And Ms. Fobbs.
So, Miss Jackson,
Yes.
who paid for Calendly for you?
So to answer that question, I actually had to I had to edit my event and now only have a 30-minute slot. So I thought I was able to have, a 30-minute session and a 60-minute, but today I found out that I could only have one. So since it had already been publicized to the parents that I had the 30-minute session, I just sent that to college reps as well. So now everyone will just utilize one link. And if the meeting goes over 30 minutes, that's fine. That's how I problem solve that, because I refuse to pay $10 a month for someone to schedule appointments for me. So that's how
You're not going to use Calendly.
I will, but I won't have options to have multiple events. I just have one time slot of 30 minutes.
Ms. Jackson, if you delete your account and create another one, your free trial starts all over.
Yeah, I thought about that. But
Somebody pay for it from campus.
I'm hoping they can go district-wide.